Every World Cup, the same weird stories come back, and the 2026 tournament is the biggest one ever. So which habits are coming back this summer? You can almost set your watch to some of these. 1. A giant will crash out early. Every World Cup sells the same lie: the biggest teams are too strong to fall early, then one of them falls anyway. That is why this pick feels safe. The World Cup is not a league season where quality usually recovers over time. It is short, tense, and brutal. One bad group, one awkward game plan, one shaky defense, one dressing room that starts turning on itself. That is all it takes. And there is one pattern that keeps hanging over defending champions. Italy won in 2006, then went out in the 2010 group stage. Spain won in 2010, then went out in the 2014 group stage. Germany won in 2014, then went out in the 2018 group stage. France finally broke that title holder curse in 2022 by surviving the group and reaching the final. Now the question shifts to Argentina. France escaped it. Will Argentina? That is what makes this so interesting. France proved the curse is not automatic, but they did not prove giants are safe. Argentina will arrive as world champions, and that puts a target on their back from day one. Every opponent raises their level. Every slow start becomes a headline. Every dropped point feels like a warning, and Argentina do not even have to be the team that falls for this prediction to land. The bigger point is simple: the World Cup does not care about reputation. In 2026, one giant will expect a title run and leave early. History says it happens. 2. One underdog will steal the whole show. Every World Cup gives us a team that stops feeling like a team. They start feeling like a movement. In 2022, that was Morocco. They became the first African team ever to reach a World Cup semi-final. FIFA put them right next to the other great semi-final shockers in tournament history. Reports wrote about Moroccan fans partying in the streets all over the world, not just at home. This story is not new. Croatia ran to the final in 2018 with a country of 4 million behind them. South Korea made the semis in 2002. Costa Rica beat England, Italy, and Uruguay in 2014. Names change, the plot stays the same. Why will it happen again in 2026? More teams means more room for new stories. A bunch of countries are showing up with zero hype and a lot of hunger. All it takes is one kind draw, one huge upset, and one team with a little magic. Then the whole neutral world picks a side. Jerseys sell out, flags show up in cities that never cared before. The run becomes the story of the whole month. That team does not even need to win it. They just need to make the tournament feel different. That is usually enough. 3. A superstar will turn into the villain. World Cups do not just make heroes, they make bad guys too. Every tournament somebody eats all the blame. Sometimes it is fair, sometimes it is not, but it always happens. The easiest example is Luis Suarez in 2010. Ghana against Uruguay, quarter-final, last minute of extra time. Ghana heading in for a winner. Suarez punched it off the line with his hands. Red card. Ghana missed the penalty. Uruguay won on penalties. FIFA even called it his self-sacrifice. That one word tells you how huge the moment got. 1 second turned Suarez from a great striker into one of the most hated names in World Cup history. The villain does not have to be a mean person. He just has to be the face of the anger that week. A dive, a handball, a rude quote, a missed penalty with a lame excuse after. Why is it coming back in 2026? Because everyone has a phone. One bad moment from a big name will get cut up, memed, replayed and roasted all over the world in about 5 minutes. The last World Cup did this. This one will do it way faster. 4. One fan base will take over everything. Every World Cup has a sound. In South Africa in 2010, it was the vuvuzelas. You could barely go 10 seconds without hearing that wall of noise. In Qatar in 2022, it was Argentina. Blue and white shirts everywhere. Drums in the streets. Chants rolling through stadiums long before kickoff. By the end, their fan energy did not just support the team, it helped define the whole tournament. That is what always happens, and 2026 looks built for that kind of takeover. The scale will be huge, the travel will be wider, and North America is full of diaspora communities that can turn neutral venues into something much louder and much more personal. Add 3 host countries on top of that, and some teams could end up playing matches that feel a lot less away than they should. That does not guarantee it will be Argentina again. It could be a Latin American giant. It could be a North African or Balkan side with massive diaspora backing. It could even be one host nation if the run gets hot enough. But somebody will do it! One fan base always rises above the rest. First you hear them, then you start seeing them everywhere. Then by the knockout rounds, it feels like the tournament belongs to them. 5. VAR will blow up into a huge scandal. This one barely counts as a guess. It is basically gravity at this point. Video review did not end arguments, it just changed them. Before, fans yelled about what the ref missed. Now they yell about what angle got used, how long the check took, and if the whole system is ruining the flow of the game. FIFA turned down Argentina's complaints about a wild VAR call at the 2024 Olympics during a crazy game with Morocco. Not the World Cup, but the meltdown still went huge. VAR is supposed to clear things up. A lot of times it just starts a brand new fight on top of the old one. World Cup history tells us these calls do not stay inside the 90 minutes. They become the game. Sometimes they become the whole tournament. Ask England about the hand of God in 1986. Ask Germany about Frank Lampard's goal that did not count in 2010. People still argue about those calls today. This World Cup will get 104 games. That is a giant pile of chances for one call to blow up online. More games means more drama. More knockout games means more pain. And the bigger the crowd watching, the less chance anyone shrugs and moves on. One offside line, one soft penalty, one goal ruled out in extra time. That is all it takes to light the whole internet on fire for a week. 6. Travel will wreck somebody's World Cup. Normally, travel is background stuff. In 2026, it might decide actual games. The tournament runs across 16 cities in 3 countries. That is a lot of flights, a lot of time zones, and a lot of bags to pack. Heat is already part of the talk. One study rated 9 of the 16 host cities at extreme risk for heat illness. US cities are set for sticky, hot weather in June and July. This matters. Long flights hurt recovery. Bad recovery hurts legs. Tired legs mess up pressing, focus, and the last 10 minutes of tight games. And that is before we talk about visas, fans moving city to city, training base picks, and wild kickoff times built for TV, not players. Why is this a safe call? Because somebody will ignore it. A team will talk about talent, vibes, and tactics. Then they will lose to heat, long flights, and short rest windows. By the time they notice, the damage is done and the plane home is already booked. 7. A brand new global star will be born. This might be the most reliable World Cup pattern of them all. The tournament has a way of taking a player serious fans already know and turning him into a name even casual viewers cannot escape. James Rodriguez in 2014 is the obvious case. One summer in Brazil, one stunning volley against Uruguay, a golden boot, and suddenly he was not just a good Colombian player anymore. He was one of the faces of world football. But James was not the only one. Mesut Ozil used the 2010 World Cup to go from highly rated talent to one of the hottest names in Europe. Kylian Mbappe did it in 2018 on an even bigger level, turning raw promise into global superstardom. Enzo Fernandez was barely part of the global conversation before Qatar 2022. A few weeks later, he had won Young Player of the Tournament and looked like one of the biggest midfield winners of the entire World Cup. That is the pattern. The World Cup does not usually invent a star from nothing. It puts the brightest possible spotlight on a player who is ready to explode. Not every great player becomes a World Cup icon, but every World Cup creates at least one new one. 2026 will too. So these are not wild guesses, they are World Cup habits. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which one you think hits first this summer. Then watch the next video on your screen. See you there.